Hey everybody, this is Elon from Inside Fighting, and we're back with Dan the Wolfman, who is a badass martial artist, was competitive in martial arts professionally. He has the highest rated DVD on BJJ Fanatics for self-defense for, I don't know, a while now. It's a badass DVD. It's like 4.5 hours long. So happy to have you back, man.
Hey, thank you guys. Yeah, hopefully everyone liked the striking arts tier list, and now we're going to focus even more for self-defense and now even more on the techniques for self-defense. And we'll do one video on the striking techniques and a separate video on the grappling techniques. And I think it's important for people to understand what are really the techniques you need to focus on for self-defense. I work as an armed guard. I got to leave when we're done filming. I work as an armed guard. I've bounced for years and years. I've had interesting incidences around the world, multiple attackers, weapons, etc. So I think with my experience and your experience, both being vast and in different styles of martial arts, we probably can come up with a pretty good things like, yo, forget all that fancy stuff. This is like the important stuff that you need to focus on. And also a couple things that people just overlook for what an adult's real world self-defense situations aren't bucking up at 18 and wanting to street fight, bro. So we'll get into that too.
All right, here we go.
Pow, pow. Inside fighting, yeah. Dangerous martial arts. Pow, pow. Ooh, ah.
Name a most important striking technique for you, and then we'll piggyback.
We're doing striking? We're doing
striking. Let's go with striking. What's the most important striking technique?
For self-defense, one of my favorite striking techniques is a vertical elbow where I'm also covering at the same time. So
yeah, I call it the head and elbow spear, and that's my way against the most common attack on the street, being an overhand. Now, if I happen to uppercut his chin or gunting his bicep shoulder, which happens a lot when I do it, awesome, right? A block is a strike is a block. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you there, but that's the safest way of dealing with the most common attack, being a overhand punch, a big right hook, a haymaker, right angle one stick attack, bottle attack. I've been in a stick fight. Like that's your number way, usually from a fence, de-escalation tactics, spearing in, and now you're in. I go to the pump clinch. I don't like the Krav Maga style on one side.
I don't like it either unless I have a tight overhook. I'm a big fan of overhooks for the street. But yeah, I can, or even like a deep underhook where I'm turning you and giving you a lot of face pressure. But I do like a traditional clinch a lot too. But all of that comes off of this kind of high elbow.
It does. Yeah, it does. I just think plum is way higher percentage. Even if you watch high level Muay Thai, like pike positions happen, but they don't happen near as enough. And then in a MMA as well, is like, okay, boom, I got into the guy and now I got the plum.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a combination block and or strike, and that's kind of the awesomeness of it. That, like you talked about, being pushed against a wall, and I have a video that he passed away, but a jiu-jitsu black belt that taught at Enzo Gracie, Vietnam. He sent me one of his students, got in like this badass elevator fight, and the guy was headbutting the shit out of him, and blood everywhere because the guy kicked his girlfriend's dog as he got on the elevator. Like, it's crazy. That's on my channel. And I'm like, you made me think about that. So yeah, up close, jailhouse, rock, elbows, knees, whether you call it Khaleesi, lot, Muay Thai, whatever. You guys should learn that cover block as an uppercut strike. I call it a head and elbow spear is what I teach in my DVD. That gets you in to now I got control, right?
Yep. It's my go-to. One of my go-tos.
So we could stick with close range, or we could go with the longer range strikes first.
No, you can go for any strike whatsoever.
Any strike. Okay. So I think I'm going to go with Boss Root and try to teach me. I flew a day out to California before the getting on the next flight to Tokyo. I arranged it with Pancrase when I fought Pancrase champion Yuki Kondo on 2 weeks. And he's obviously way more experienced than me. And so Boss was like, dude, just focus on a straight punch, a rear straight punch. And I probably should have listened to him. I told him I was going to start the fight with a straight blast to try and just shock him, which I did. And it did kind of work psychologically. But just focusing on a good right straight. I don't even want to call it a cross. I think a lot of people would do better if they thought of it as a straight punch. A good right straight is your easiest way of knocking a dude down. Like it just is. Instead of throwing haymakers when everyone else is bombing outside, if you just fire a straight punch down the middle, you're going to get there first. Plus, if you do it boxing style, the shoulders up to protect your chin, there are reasons to also do the vertical kind of karate style punch. Boss kind of Kyokushin style. Boss says just throw whatever, and if it hits at this 45, is you're kind of like combining them, whatever. Just a good rear straight punch, having a really strong cross, understanding how to turn your hip, flare the heel, ball the foot on the ground, and get actual good body mechanics. Even like guys that train in kickboxing gyms for a while, like they still lack the kinetic cohesion from the ground up of having a really good, powerful rear straight punch or right cross for most people. What do you think about that?
I think it's an important strike. Yeah. And I think it also translates body mechanics to a lot of other things you're going to be doing. So kind of an important motion to get down anyway. Like you said, for having kinetic cohesion, you're not going to learn better body mechanics for striking than practicing your cross.
So
we got a high elbow. We got a cross. Yeah. Is it my turn to jump in for another one?
Sure. Yeah.
So something that I think is super important, but I don't know if I consider it one strike, would be any kind of low line stomp / teep to the knee, to the hip, to the midsection. So if you're looking at not a traditional teep, like a straight line teep, but where you kind of blade your body just a little bit, you could treat it as a stomp or kind of like a modified side kick to the body. I think that's a very, very important kick for self-defense fighting.
I'll narrow it down to what I think is most important for the leg is an oblique kick to the knee. A modern style oblique kick, a chasse, boss, G direct, and savate up and out like a piston. You can also do it with the sweeping motion. And if a guy really is closing on you, you can turn it into like the sweeping motion. But up and out like a Terminator arm, like a piston. I got videos teaching that back in like 2012.
Right, so you're talking about like knee-high, stomp down.
Yeah, but now with your foot straight, but with it turned out, making it the oblique kick. And that way you're hitting with the heel, or even if you miss a little bit, the bottom of your foot, but you're aiming with the heel to his kneecap or just above his kneecap. And I think that's...
So you're talking about open hip. Would my hips be open? Or are you talking about a stomp where it's like a straight down stomp with my foot 45 degree out or 45 degree in? Am I turning
with your toes put out? So if this was my right foot, with your toes out and the heel with my rear leg. So an oblique kick with your rear leg, not really Wing Chun style, although Wing Chun and Silat and stuff have it too, but more up and out to create distance. So you see, like, I mean, John Jones is just a great example of this. You saw everyone trying to close and they don't have the reach of the arms that he does, 82.5 inches. They can't reach him because he's doing oblique kicks and side kicks as well. But I think for street fighting, the oblique kick's even more important because it can keep distance. Even if the guy has a weapon, a couple times of those might keep him at enough distance where then I can get out of the corner, or if I was getting backed into a wall or whatever. I think the oblique kick to the knee is like uber important for self-defense.
How do you feel about the literally the opposite, so if my foot was turned out like this, instead we're looking at a lead leg stomp, but kind of in a bladed side position a little bit, where I'm turning and I'm stomping down into your leg.
I like it.
Same motion.
I know in self-defense, you think like all these styles think that you can blade off to someone's dark side and stuff. Like, yeah, if obviously you have the skill to Silat style, Kali style, FMA style to get to the outside. But the fact of the matter is that it looks great in a movie, but it typically isn't going to happen. You're going to be more squared. He's going to be more squared. You're not going to necessarily going to be able to draft off at that angle. If you have those higher skills, maybe that you can pull that off, and you should know things like that angle or a side kick to the knee and stuff like that, especially from the side, or even Savate style brings it up. And I have some videos showing that where you can stomp down, make that angle. You can slip the punch and you can come down like on his quad and Charlie the hell out of that. Like, that's great. But I think for really basics, where he's teaching people the basics that they need, just focus on kicking that Thai banana bag, or, you know, maybe tires around a post, whatever you got, with a hard, or even with boots on a cement wall is okay too, right? a little bit anyway. I wouldn't do it all the time. But a good oblique kick to the knee. I think the other ones are good. I mean, I was side kicking. I side kicked a dude in the leg in 97 and side kicked him in the chest. Then front kicked him in the chin. That was my second MMA fight in 97. Way before people thought like kicking above the belt works or any of those kicks would work. But I think the oblique kick's like the basic one. People should.
Yeah, I do this weird thing where I kind of so a lot of, but this is not necessarily self-defense. It's just fighting, sparring. I'll do the, you know, a low roundhouse kick, and then I'll use the indication of the low roundhouse to kind of like shoot my leg up and stomp it down into the leg, or shoot my leg up and treat it like a side kick, or even go for that kind of inside crescent kick. So it all comes off of that lead or that rear.
So like a missed or a fake round kick, and then like the side kick to the leg.
Round kick that passes the leg. So I continue past the leg, and I lift my knee up to a side kick position, and I stomp it down into the leg.
There's a Savate video the Wing Chun guy did. Kevin Lee. He just had a video of Savate, and he was showing that when he sparred Jeff Chan. So that's kind of interesting. They use a similar technique. I mean, I have as well, but I consider that kind of more advanced level than just the basic strikes.
You're right.
So I'm going to go another one that I never thought of it as being that important. But I'm going to throw another punch that I think is important, and here's the reason why. And that's your lead left or lead hook. Southpaw, your right lead, whatever. Your lead hook. I never thought it was the most important because it's more important to get that straight down. But you know what you throw after the straight? You throw the left hook. And you know what the left hook's also good for? Just the sucker punch, preemptive strike, chinning a guy, as is known in England, chinning the guy. So, boom. So if you got a left hook like Paul Daly, but more important, like any block that I do, it could be a block against a front kick to my groin, a front kick, a round kick. I can counter anything. It could be his punch. I can cover block this and fire a 2-3-2 back. So by having the three and different ways of using the lead hook, I can add it on to the cross instead of just 2-3. If you're fighting four guys, if all you did was cover blocks and go 2-3-2 on that guy, and cover block over here, 2-3-2 on that guy, if you learn a good 2-3-2 combination, even against low kicks, you can learn knee destructions against low kicks and stuff. Whatever it is, you can use just offensively with forward pressure. And I'm not talking staying in spot like boxers do. I'm talking moving forward more like a Mike Tyson did, throwing your body weight, sliding forward on the strikes. You leap forward on the lead hook. But for that reason, I think the lead hook is very important because it'll give someone, if you have a good 2-3-2, you could do a lot of work, and even a lot of MMA fighters are missing that.
I think it's important also to note from a self-defense perspective, 99% of what you're experiencing, and that's not an exaggeration, is an aggressive haymaker, overhand right, off either a sucker punch, like they're going to sucker punch you with that, or they're going to push you and do it. So this high cover, this elbow, is a great thing to just know that's in your pocket. You're right. If you just have a set, you don't want to complicate what's going on in your head when you're in a high stress situation.
That could be a high kick. It could be the right haymaker, typically, but it could be a stick swing. It could be multiple attacks, and I'm getting swarmed. If I know how to monkey cover block, and if I know that head and elbow spear, the way you started with, I can go, oh shit, 2-3-2. I kick, some kind of block, 2-3-2.
Yeah, it's good just to have your combination that you go back to, and the average person will not be able to defend against cross.
No, because they're throwing out here. So if I go 2-3, like tight as I leap in, boom, I call it shuffle work, like shuffle my feet in, 3-2, you're going to be tighter within all their swings.
No, I'm in agreement.
I mean, it's like gun kata, baby, in equilibrium. Like, as long as, like, spatial relationships matter and you're on the inside track. And that's going to matter, and it's going to do real well. All right,
I got my next one. I got one that I think is useful if you end up picking up a weapon, is useful for crowd control. I think just a jab motion, a lead hand, quick snap, boom. It could be an eye gouge, could be a hit, but any type of lead extension that is non. What's the word? You know, when you indicate you're going to hit someone, what's it called? Where you show
telegraphing.
telegraph. That is not
If you got
telegraph.
especially like an up jab. If you got a good non-telegraphic up jab or a finger jab to the eyes, I wasn't even thinking that a bougie, right? And
Yeah, UG, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Or even to the throat, like a little kind of, but it's this motion, because one of the things I tell people in knife fighting is if you take a boxer who has an amazing jab and you put a knife in their hand with an extended grip, a traditional grip, and they just jab with it, you're not going to be able to defend that. That's going to become the most dangerous tool that they could have.
Right. I mean, it's saber fencing. I mean,
yeah.
If you give a boxer a push dagger, one of those little T-grip push daggers,
man, forget about it.
Hey, like you want to fight Mike Tyson with 2 push daggers in his hand? You think like your Kali knife fighting is necessarily going to beat Mike Tyson with 2 push daggers in his hand?
He'll beat any knife fighter in the world at that point. He's just
we're making it a little fun, but just think about that concept. So I want to agree with you. Like just having a jab, I don't think it's the most important. I think having a 2-3-2 down, but having a good jab can do a whole lot. It can intercept someone's forward movement, just like a front kick. You could probably go to that. Having a good jab, and I wasn't even thinking because I think. Let me lead into that. I think. Even better than the bougie, like kind of straight to the eyes, right? However you do it. I like a tiger palm strike. And so I put them together. So in my instructional, I have raking across the eyes, but then I'm leading in with a cycling blast. And if you look up the video of Special Forces guy, I think it's like Ecuador or something, like South American, a Special Forces guy gets challenged by like a guy, and he just goes, bink, right in the guy's eyes.
I've seen it.
And the guy turns and goes down like crazy. And so especially for women that maybe don't have the strong wrist to throw 2-3-2s and knock people out, the preemptive striking blast with the tiger palm strike, the first one I do at a 45 angle down raking across the eyes, but then going in. And if all you learn is how to go in so the fingers hit and the palm smashing the face is better than palm strike, because putting those fingers out, your chances of hitting at least one of the eyes with one of the fingers is pretty damn good. So I think it totally gets overlooked, the tiger palm strike. And if you know the mechanics of throwing a jab and a cross, you know how to throw a tiger palm strike, except for also I usually would start it with a preemptive strike. Hey, dude, I don't have any problems. And I go in, and now I'm going in with forward pressure or cycling. So I think the tiger palm strike is like really important and overlooked, and like, oh, that Kung Fu TMA shit doesn't work. Bullshit. The biggest rated out best fighters in the world, when John Jones poked him in the eye, they got a break for 1 to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's no steroids on my eye.
I had an allergic reaction to something yesterday. I was in a store and my eyes had a reaction to something in the store, and I went blind. Like I couldn't see. My eyes were burning. They're on fire. If someone pokes you in the eye, you're not continuing to fight. It becomes your primary point of focus. But I think that one thing that I'm kind of, and maybe it's a Filipino principle that's just stuck with me and never left me. One of my things is I look at a strike as an angle, not necessarily as a strike. So if someone's like, oh, this is a jab, this is a BUG, this is a knife hand, but the angle's the same. I think it's all the same thing. It's just your hands changing kind of how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I would put that in the category of the other strikes we've already done, because if we're treating it, except for the 45 degree,
but I mean, at least your jab and cross, it's just opening them up, and I think that's more important for like women and smaller statured people too.
Yep.
Right. We got to keep rolling here, so let's talk more clinch strikes. And I'm gonna say that knowing the plumb position is uber important, and I teach, and it sounds like you kind of do the same thing. Head and elbow spear to get to it. Mm-hmm. And then now the rear elbow and rear knee is super important for self-defense. I don't got a knee in the body. I can do a double with what I call a charge step or a gallop step, a double or triple knee to your balls, and then let off the plumb clinch to a single collar tie, go elbow, elbow, elbow. People don't have the footwork down. They just throw elbows. They don't know how to go with forward pressure, and that's the gallop step or the charge step. But man, you've seen there's been some great like knockouts in UFC. If you
and it's so aggressive.
Pressure, and then maybe they're jacked over a car or into a wall or whatever. Yeah. So the rear elbow and the rear knee, the rear straight knee and a rear elbow, and try and make them sharp. To focus on that, I think those are super important.
Yep.
And I'm out this red, guys. It's just the lighting.
You are that red. You're sitting on the sun. So I got one more, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it. You might disagree with it. I have no idea, but I have used this, and it's been very effective for me. Headbutts. I've used.
Yeah,
headbutts.
no, I knew you were going to bring that up. I haven't. Yeah, I think they're important. I never was a big butter. If I used a headbutt, it was going to be more likely on the ground. I had one fight where we could have, but I armbarred him too fast. So technically, I had one fight where headbutts were allowed. Third or fourth NHB fight. But like my friend Mark Coleman, man, he used to headbutt the shit out of people. I'd probably use it more in ground and pound than, but like self-defense areas, certainly there's positions. I'm not someone that would probably headbutt somebody because it has to be a bad situation. Multiple guys robbing me, like where I'm going to preemptively strike. I teach preemptive striking, and there is some great headbutt lead into the, because you can headbutt the nose and bring the knee right up to the groin. Even better than that, you can have your hands out and do magic tricks, and they're talking to you. And I could chop the neck, which might knock them out. Chop, headbutt, the knee comes up to the balls, and then we're elbow. So I have a preemptive striking video with some preemptive combinations. That's one of my favorite ones. Boom. So I'm out here talking, whatever, or I could block. I can also do this pottery block. If he sucker punches, I don't know what punch it's going to be or what angle it's going to be, or it could be a knife in his hand. Pottery defense, chop the neck, headbutt the nose, knee up to the balls, and single collar tie, rear elbow, smash that face. That's a good combination. I'll mess up most guys.
The times I've used a headbutt are when it's escalated before, like I was not expecting it and my hands were down and the guy got in my face and I didn't feel comfortable lifting my hands up because I thought maybe I'll get sucker punched in the time that it takes me to lift my hands up. And I just right away dropped, bam, with my head and then got my hands up. It was just first of all, it's usually enough to break the guy's nose. I was surprised at how much damage headbutts actually cause in real life. But one of the things it allowed me to do is get a break to protect. So now I'm in a position to continue attacking you with my hands up. But there's some situations where, by my fault, admittedly, I was not ready for the incoming, aggression, and I reacted by defending myself with my hands down, and my best weapon was my head. So
it can close and it can get in there, and then if you're comfortable headbutting someone, maybe you're comfortable headbutting their punches too and breaking we've seen some of that in the bare knuckle fighting championships and stuff, but I've been teaching that kind of thing, kind of gooching that jab and headbutt against the jab and trying to break the guy's knuckle with your forehead. It's pretty good stuff. Let's talk a little more kicks to wrap this up, because all we've mentioned is basically oblique kick, and you kind of mentioned some side kick variations to the leg. Mm-hmm. What other kicks? I've got a couple other kicks that I think are important for self-defense, which tells you that the gamut of all the kicking world is not what you need to be focusing on, kids. And we started as Taekwondo guys.
So I think a snapping groin kick is an effective kick. Like the Krav Maga snapping. It's not I'm not talking about a push kick. I'm talking about like an actual snap kick where you're aiming with the top part.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly, except I do not like the rear leg telegraph Krav Maga just kick. And if you hit up the 8 pillars, you hit their leg anyway and all that. I like the front leg groin kick, hidden from underneath. And there is a difference. And everyone made fun of Seagal teaching Machida and Anderson. And Anderson likes to clown around. I know them pretty well. I was there at the gym for 3 months. But hiding it from underneath, I teach that. And I actually made a funny Master Ken video, 100 ways to hit the balls for real. It's all real footage of my sparring, hitting people in the nuts. A lot of these are the hidden kicks that the guys never see. Because when I teach kind of a combatives class after some of my other classes, when I've been able to, we're doing bare knuckle street boxing, and I have them wear cups, and that includes groin kicks too.
Still hurts getting hit in the groin with a cup.
I did it to a guy in Japan, actually, believe it or not, because this girl was flirting with me at 2 a.m. in the morning or something, coming home from a bar, really hot girl flirting with me, talking. I'm like, I'm not being pushy, being the weird foreign on her, but this guy's mad because she's macking on a foreigner, a gaijin, right? So he starts yelling at me like crazy, whatever, and I'm like, dude, I'm being friendly with her, she's talking to me. Anyway, the guy's yelling in Japanese, whatever. I front kick at his groin, and I literally he had dress pants on, And I made it so like I hit him, so I couldn't even get charged by the police. Like he couldn't even say I hurt him. I hit him just to raise his bottom of his pants because I have that level of control. And I looked at him like he got the point. I'm like, now if that's what I can do to you, don't you think you should fucking go right now? Get the fuck out of here. And he was starting stuff with me. I'm not that guy trying to start stuff, but this girl was just walking next to me and she's giggly and flirty and whatever. So, but the
did he walk away?
And if you want to see examples, I got the really funny video, 100 ways to attack the groin for real that people should watch. It's pretty funny. And I teach that on my instructional. I also teach the lead 45 angle kick to the groin. Now, the straight up one is the one we'll more likely use in a street fight. But if a guy thinks he's a boxer, thinks he's a martial artist, he'll get a little more squared off to you. And then 45 angle to kick, just like Taekwondo, just like Bruce Lee taught, but to the groin, angle it at 45. And it sneaks in there, man, when people don't see it. You're up here trapping, making them think about hands, whatever, and then boom, you just kick them at that 45 angle to the groin. So that front leg kick to the groin, very important.
Yeah, that's another one that'll drop a big dude.
Now, think a second here. What do you think the most important kick we haven't fully covered? What's the most important for self-defense?
360-degree spinning wheel kick.
The 720 triple kick foot. No. We covered the oblique kick to the knee. Now we worked up the body. We did front kick, the front leg kick to the groin. And now you got to have the rear leg power. Sparta! This is
front
Sparta kick.
Stomp
front
kick.
leg to the chest, chin, solar plexus, whatever. Just as a making distance tool. But if you are fighting multiple guys, kicking is really dangerous because it puts you on one foot. But the one kick you might use, or even if you have boots on, or even if you're in military gear, or even if the guy has a fucking knife, and kicking's dangerous, he might be able to get your leg, whatever. But we've seen it work. You give a guy a good front Sparta kick to the chest.
It'll drop him.
Knock the wind out of him, knocks him back. At least it creates a distance.
Mm-hmm. At a minimum, yeah. Usually pushes people down on the ground if they haven't experienced it.
To wrap it up, and then grappling, we'll do a grappling video. I think from open guard, you got to have oblique kicks to the knees and up kicks to the chin as well from your back. We'll talk about that in the grappling video. But you got to be able to spear in and control the clinch. Most people throw haymakers outside. So if you know how to have good balanced base grappling / Muay Thai / wrestling / judo, whatever, if you know how to have a good powerful base under you from a plum clinch, you can dominate bigger and stronger guys because they don't know how to fight in the clinch, just like they don't know how to fight on the ground. So I think knees and elbows from like a plum clinch especially, be very comfortable with over-under clinch as well. We'll talk more about that in the grappling video. But then on the outside, cover, 2-3-2, front hand jabs or bougie to the eyes, tiger palms as a variation, and kicks. Oblique kick to the knee, front leg kicks to the groin, either straight up or at 45, and a good rear leg power strong. This is Sparta kick to knock the wind out of them and get them the F back. And that's also great if a guy kicks you, you're going. One guy did kick at me when I was bouncing. I dealt with one guy outside the bar, had him in a standing arm triangle. Then another guy threw out. He came in. I guess he kicked at me instinctively. I checked with the front leg, lifted up the center line the way I teach, and blocked his kick because I had a little bruise below my knee. And then I went to put my foot down the way I train. I had a 45 Muay Thai style, and I was about to start throwing a high kick. I'm like, oh, dude, I can't head kick this guy in the street on some man. He might fucking die. I pulled it last second. But I teach now to just block with the kick to the groin in the front leg, and then power leg Sparta kick with the back leg is what I teach in my combatives instructional. If you guys are really interested, you should subscribe to his channel and then get my instructional on BJJ Fanatics. I think we covered it. Is there anything else that we really missed that you need to throw in there?
No, I mean, I might say that it's good to have some kind of back kick if something's coming up behind you, just whether it's like a kind of like a sided back kick, like a side kick to the back or a back kick.
Back mule kick. Yeah, we did that with pad work, and I did teach at a craft school. But
it can come into play, but it's not something I would say is a primary point of focus. I do think it's what you mentioned that you almost went for a high kick in the street because that's how you were training at the time. It's an important note that you're going to fight how you train. So train how you want to fight because a lot of people miss that. You know, I like to spar a lot. I do throw head kicks a lot and stuff like that. But I also know that sometimes it's my instinct maybe to do that in a high stress situation now because I'm doing it so often.
Yeah, but can you think in like a liberal area if I did that as a bouncer and we got outside and so it's technically it's not even on my property and I head kicked a drunk dude that kicked in my
and he
groin,
dies, you're in
and
trouble.
he fucking hit his head on the cement.
Yeah, you'd go to jail for
I'm
for
making an
homicide.
aggravated assault charge, with grave bodily injury. You know what I'm talking about? So you got to be careful out there too, guys. Hopefully you like this. Thank you for having me on. Let's do another one on the best grappling techniques. And that's coming from 2 BJJ black belts that really respect catch wrestling. So hopefully you guys will check that one out too.